Welcome to the Leadership, Strategy, and AI podcast with your host, Nadia Gill. In every episode, we are on a journey to explore these dynamic topics with inspiring leaders who are making a difference. Hi, welcome to the Leadership, Strategy, and AI podcast. I'm Nadia Gill. Today, I have the incredible honor to interview Seth Godin about his latest book. This is Strategy. Make Better Plans. Seth is an entrepreneur, best-selling author, speaker, and most of all, a very generous teacher. In addition to launching one of the most popular blogs in the planet, he's written 21 best-selling books, including The Dip, Linchpin, Purple Cow, Tribes, and What to Do When It's Your Turn, and it's always your turn. His book, This is Marketing, was an instant bestseller all around the world. His latest books are This is a Strategy, Make Better Plans, The Song of Significance, and The Practice, and creatives everywhere have made them bestsellers. Seth is also the host of Akimbo, which is in the top 1% of podcasts in the world. The renowned for his writing and speaking, Seth also founded 2 companies, Squidoo and Yoyodyne, acquired by Yahoo. By focusing on everything from effective marketing and leadership, and now strategy, to the spread of ideas and changing everything, Seth has been able to motivate and inspire countless people around the world. In 2013, Seth was one of just 3 professionals inducted into the Direct Marketing Hall of Fame. In an astonishing turn of events, in May 2018, he was inducted into the Marketing Hall of Fame as well. He might be the only person in both. Here's Seth and our conversation about his new book. This is Strategy. Make Better Plans. This is a dream come true, so thank you so much. At the risk of looking and sounding like a groupie, which I am proudly part of your tribe, we have Seth Godin with us, and best-selling author of Linchpin, Purple Cow, All Marketers Tell Stories, We All Are Weird, This is Marketing, and also, amongst others, The Song of Significance, The Carbon Almanac. And we are going to talk today about This is Strategy. Make Better Plans. So, and on top of that, Seth, on top of being an extremely prolific 9,000 posts and counting every single day, he's also the host of Akimbo, the top 1% podcast in the entire world. So, well, okay, so let's talk about you. You know what? Let's talk about the strategy, because as I mentioned, I have been my entire career in strategy. So having a book of yours on strategy, it is fantastic. I read it and I never thought I was going to say this of a strategy book, but it is a page turner. I put it down. It is really needed. And you talk about it in the book, but tell me, for our listeners, what motivated you? You have been always about marketing. So now you are, going into the strategy terrain.
Well, to be fair, I've always been about making things better. And I called some of the things I did in marketing, and I happened to show up right when marketing was falling apart, when network TV was falling apart. So people decided that I was a marketing person, but the practice and the dip and the song significance and the carbon book, none of those are about marketing, except everything is about marketing. Marketing is the work we do to make a change happen. And most people who I talk to who think they have a marketing problem actually have a strategy problem.
I can't agree more. And this is one of my favorite posts. And you mention it in the book, which is strategy is the hard work of choosing what to do today to improve our tomorrow. Let's dissect that, because there is so much wisdom and truth on that. Strategy is hard work. It is, and I know I'm preaching to the converted, but it is literally taking a hard look at yourself or at your company in the mirror and being brutally honest on what are the choices we need to make. And it is true that a lot of companies that I have worked with, they think they have a marketing problem when in reality is a strategy problem. But let's pedal back. When you were writing your book about the strategy, did you intend it to be for individuals, for corporations, for everyone?
Well, it's just like all my work. I hope it's for everybody who needs it. It's definitely not for the people who don't get it. We have to begin with who gets to decide. If you're making a plan for what your company is going to do, you get to decide. So you have power. On the other hand, if you're dealing with the market or you're dealing with a system, they get to decide because they have power. And that's why organizations and individuals shy away from strategy, because they don't want to develop empathy and they don't want to acknowledge that they're not in charge.
I can't agree more, because again, it's strategy and marketing and in general, doing things better means stopping doing something today, and is scary. In the case of corporations, it might mean letting go of half of your revenue to ensure that we make things and prepare things for the next 5 years. In the case of individuals, it might mean also stopping doing something that we have done the same way for years.
When Western Union had the chance to buy the phone company, they turned it down and instead decided to make better telegrams.
Yeah.
And when Nintendo saw the semiconductor, they decided to stop making playing cards. So you pick your future by picking who you're going to serve.
And that's a good point. What if, while you are either as an individual, as an entrepreneur, or as a corporation, looking at who you are going to serve, and either by mistake or by design, get that your audience is not telling you this is where the market is moving. You don't get to see the shifts in the market. What then? Because I'm sure if we talk about Western Union, I'm sure somewhere someone told them, oh, don't worry about it. We're going to continue selling telegrams,
Well, clearly, it's very easy to defend sunk costs. It's very easy to defend the fact that you used to be right. It's very hard to give up what you have today in order to possibly make things better tomorrow. That's why this is hard work.
And I like this, part of the strategies that are in a book of strategy. You talk about calling it a game, because it is a game, whether you want to play it or not, it is. And you are in the game. So calling the project a game gives us a chance to depersonalize. And I thought that was so true. Our work, and to talk about it more openly with, and I think that also takes away the fear in many ways. If you put it on the table and realize this is a game, and this is the rules are changing, particularly now with artificial intelligence. And that's a question for you. I believe it was today's blog post where you talk about showing the receipts. It is very easy to ask ChatGPT or Gemini or anyone, any of the LLMs, to give me the sources. How do you see strategy changing with the intersection of AI? Or maybe it's not changing.
I think AI is the biggest systems change to our world since electricity. Yeah. So everyone's strategy is going to have to change in response, but denying it makes no sense. It's not perfect. It's not even close to perfect. It's not perfectly safe. It will probably break, but it's so much faster in its progress than any technical innovation of our lifetime. If it's done this in 1 year, what's it going to do in 5?
That was one of the reasons why I started this podcast. I thought about, strategy will continue to evolve as it does always. And now we have AI creating and changing the rules of the game. And how is that going to switch a strategy for everyone, not only for companies? And so I do spend a lot of time thinking about it. And another guest that I had mentioned that the only possible path for everyone is to keep learning, because that's the only way, not only to fight obsolescence, but also to keep evolving. And I think this is a tremendous part of us being humans. In the moment we stop learning or decide that we don't want to learn it.
Yeah, some people act like this is optional.
Yeah,
that learning is a choice, and I guess it's optional if you're okay with falling behind. You don't have to like the fact that the world is changing, but I don't think you can deny it.
Talking about it, one of the things that I like about reading your blog posts and listening to Akimbo is that you are able to talk about very diverse topics and find the dots that connect each other. In one of the Akimbo episodes, you were able to talk about Star Trek and simultaneously talk about cars and the car industry. How do you do it? And I'm sure you have spoken about it in multiple times, many other podcasts. But is this something that are you constantly observing the world around you? And then are you carrying a notebook to make the note?
All of us understand some things. The only way to learn a new thing is to relate it to something we understand. So if I see something in the world that I don't understand, unlike some people, I don't walk past it. I try to understand it. And the way I understand it is by thinking about something I do understand and figuring out what the connection is. And I don't think that I'm unique in that respect. I just verbalize it. And that's my job.
It's funny. I was reading also about Ray Dalio, and years ago, not recently, that he also likes to study a lot of history because he mentions in his blogs that he tends to see certain things in history repeating centuries later, and he also takes the time to read and about other things that are not related to finance in particular. Now, let's talk about getting back to the book. What surprised you the most when you were writing about this book in particular, about the strategy versus other, books?
I think how little we think about time. And time is the axis on all the charts and all the graphs that everybody sees when they're in MBA. But we never talk about it. We act like it's all there at once. Time is nature's way of making sure everything doesn't happen all at once. And so we shouldn't assume that what's happening today is exactly what's going to happen tomorrow. But we pretend everything's going to be the way it is.
And not only that, there is this quote, and I don't remember the author, that we walk the earth pretending that we are invincible. Let's talk about, purple space, because I saw, the purple space team, and the tribe is incredibly generous and also active. And I couldn't keep up with the reading, but I loved the energy. And how did they influence you when you were writing the book?
So Purple Dot Space is a community that people can join, and it currently has about 1,000 people from around the world. And 300 of them volunteered to take the workshop that I built as I was writing the book. And I got to watch them learn the book as I was writing it.
Nice.
And so if I was doing something that was confusing, I found out immediately and I would rewrite it.
Yes, no, they are, and I enjoy the conversations and the sub-conversations. It's just this energy that they motivate everyone to become a better versions of ourselves, both personally and professionally. I thought it was such a supportive community, and I guess you made a way to find each other, if this makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. So let's talk about what is next for you. I know everybody talks to you about it, but you have hit pretty much every milestone that most of us would dream of. Do you plan your career or what you write like in 10 years? I've met people who do that, by the way, so it's like in the next 10 years, I'm going to have like 5 more books and another podcast. And, how do you...
No, this is what's next for me until it's not. That's all I know.
Nice. I am a big fan of David Bowie, for example. And one of the things that I admired of him is that his best music and everything he kept producing and creating and launching and putting his art into the world. Nothing could stop him ever. So I love that. What motivates you to continue to give in general? Because I have seen, similar to Marshall Goldsmith, you have put out there in the world in a very generous way all the body of your knowledge, here, take it, learn it, and even coming here to talk to me, it's extremely, incredibly generous. What motivates you to give and give and give over and over and over?
I don't see it that way at all. I'm a teacher. I'm lucky I get to do this. That's all there is. What else am I going to do? This is what a treat, what a privilege.